Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Seize Your Business. Jim Waszak here from Success Enhancement. Kevin O'Flaherty, my co-host, is unavailable today, so I'm going to do all the interviewing with our guest today, who is Nadine Haupt from Fast Women in Business. And what I'll tell you about Nadine is probably the most interesting thing is she used to be a pit crew chief in the racing world. So, Nadine, welcome to our show.
Thanks,
Good
Jim.
to have
Happy
you
to be here.
So, tell us a little bit about the racing. I mean, I think that's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, it's not something you come across with every day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let alone a lady who does it.
Exactly. So, I kind of got started in engineering school, where I just thought, math, science. I like taking apart things and that. And so I went down to Purdue University, and during my summers, I actually got an opportunity to work for Chrysler Corporation and do engine design on the Dodge Viper V10. And it was during that group that it was a very small team, very unique to the corporation, that there was about 80 team members, and they all were involved in some form of motorsport.
Okay.
Dirt tracks, oval tracks, you name it, drag racing. Okay. So that's where I started to get that first bug of, interesting in racing. So, I started doing some amateur stuff on the weekends where, you pay money to go racing.
You actually drove?
No, I just did some of the pit crew background engineering, all logistics, all that kind of stuff. No, I left the driving to somebody else.
Okay.
But it dawned on me that there was a real passion of mine, and I wanted to figure out a way to get paid to do that passion. So I spent about 2 years kind of just focused and determined, persevering, knocking on every door I could possibly find, until I finally got the opportunity to join Honda Performance Development in their IndyCar program. Okay. And so then I spent 7 years kind of navigating that good old boys network to tune engines for 3 different engine manufacturers. So Mercedes Ilmor, Ford Cosworth, and Honda Performance. Super. So really exciting experience, and probably at the pinnacle of a lot of what was going on in open wheel at the time too.
Super.
Yeah.
So if my car won't start, you could know how to jump it or whatever.
I could do the basics.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So so tell us about Fast Women in Business. I mean, what's the sort of theme? Who are you working with, etc.?
Sure. So after a 20-year career in corporations and small businesses and startups and engineering firms, I realized that I really wanted to kind of go out on my own and do my own thing. So 2 years ago, I had that opportunity where I said, you know what, I see how all of my talents and skills and abilities can really help serve others to grow and kind of develop the freedom and flexibility that you're looking for when you try to do something on your own. Sure. So I launched Fast Women in Business really to kind of help entrepreneurs go through kind of more of a structured and authentic approach to client attraction and business development, so that they can really create that freedom, flexibility, and financial independence that most of us are looking for when we decide to go out and do business on our own.
Do you tend to focus more on the strategy standpoint where people aren't quite sure what to do, or do you focus more on the execution standpoint when they kind of know what they want to do but have trouble getting it done?
It's a little bit of both, actually, because what I like to see, I'm a certified professional coach as well. So, but I like to kind of bring in a little bit of the consulting to the coaching modality as well, because sometimes it's mindset. You really just got to get out of your own way in order to start making progress. But sometimes you just need some strategies and tactics to kind of help focus or find the right path for you to go down. So it's a little bit of both that I bring to clients when I work with them.
Got it. Beautiful. Well, our topic today is using speaking opportunities to build your business, and that's something I think you've done a bit. And tell us, how that's worked for you and how you get the right gigs and that sort of thing. Right.
Yeah. So it's funny because I've always loved speaking. It's something that I've done, as far as back as I remember. I'd be interviewed with the racing stuff back then. So I have some really fun clips from ESPN in those days. Okay. But even through my corporate careers, I was always speaking, whether it was as an industry expert in natural gas for commercial trucking, or doing sales training and dealer operations work. Sure. And so I had this kind of structure that I was using and was successful with. I'd get people to come up afterwards, exchange business cards, have some follow-up. And so I thought, perfect. When I launched my own business, speaking is a great way to really market yourself and get yourself out there. But what I found was what I was using before, kind of this structured model of teaching and educating, giving a lot of value, wasn't converting to dollars.
Okay.
And I had to take a step back and say, but, I get all the great comments that, oh, I've learned so much, Nadine, thanks for showing me this, but they would just walk right out the door.
Yeah, right.
There wasn't any way for me to kind of follow up or ask, they weren't eager to get more information from me. So I had to start looking at things a little differently. So I started studying a lot more on sales process and technique and looking at some of the gurus out there that have done, leverage things from Dan Kennedy and magnetic marketing to, some of the speakers in the National Speakers Association, which I'm a member of. How are they doing things differently? Until I finally kind of came up with a structure that allows you to still give value, so you can still be authentic into your audience and wanting to create value and give them something, but also leave it to where they're almost begging you for more. So I call it my speak more, sell more blueprint.
Okay.
And
Beautiful.
so there's a process behind kind of the madness so that you can really try and attract the right leads who either, become clients or make sales at the back of the room.
Sure. Interesting. So how do you find the right places to speak at or groups to speak to? Because, I've done some speaking too, and sometimes I'm speaking to people that is no way it could lead to anything. I don't mind sharing my knowledge, but, one of the reasons we do it is marketing. So how do you find the right group?
And you bring up a good point, because not all speaking gigs are equal, right? Because on one hand, in the beginning, you might want to try just getting out there and speaking to everyone, just so you get that practice and you can, tweak your talk kind of thing. But eventually, you have to really focus in on who's your kind of perfect match or ideal client, and really be able to understand, who they are, and then that kind of leads you to where they hang out. So you'll know that, if you're looking for a particular type of business owner, they may be at Chamber of Commerce meetings versus a Rotary Club meeting. If you're in the health and wellness, area, for example, maybe you're not going to find them, going to the Kiwanis Club, but you will find them in a very specialized health fair that maybe hospitals are putting on. So it really comes back to understanding who that ideal client is, and then figuring out kind of where they hang out. And then you can use, because, this model is you're speaking for free. You're not asking for payment to come and speak like a keynote speaker. You can draft a very simple kind of talk summary, kind of a simple way to explain what your key points of your talk are, but also gives them, promotional material and a little bit of backup. And it's easy to kind of reach out to key people when you know the right organizations that will fit with, likelihood of having your ideal client in the audience.
Yeah. A lot of people are probably wanting to do some speaking, but they're kind of uncomfortable, getting up in front of a group. And, one of the things I've noticed is the easiest way to give a good speech is just to tell stories. People love hearing stories. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And, in fact, that's one I have in the blueprint, the Speak More, Sell More blueprint. I have 6 Ps, I call it, as the different areas. And one of them is positioning. And that's all about positioning yourself as the expert, right? And positioning your audience as the right people to be hearing your talk. And one of the key pieces in positioning yourself, right, is to tell your story. Is to tell your powerful story of why this work is so important to you. Because then you're starting to create that relationship already with the audience members who resonate with that story. And you're exactly right, is then, through the rest of the process, we start weaving in success stories of your clients. Because they can then self-identify as they're sitting in the audience to say, oh, I have that same problem or that same pain point. Maybe this will work for me too. But storytelling is the perfect way to do it. And like you said, we're not there When you're speaking for your business,
Mm-hmm.
it's not about being the super polished, no ahs and ums, no, complete, master of speaking. It's about getting the message out,
Mm-hmm.
getting your specific message out about your service or your product.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way you can do that is telling those stories, which will
yeah.
also, believe it or not, give you the confidence.
So,
Even if you're not comfortable with speaking.
why don't you share with us one of the stories you like to tell as maybe kind of a example for our viewers and listeners?
Okay. So, a previous talk that I had done, which was based on my book Fall in Love with Monday Mornings,
Mm-hmm.
I talked about how the concept of OGIM syndrome, or Oh God, It's Monday, kind of came about. And I tell this story of a time. It was October 27th, 2007. I was on a flight from Chicago back to LA to visit my friend who was celebrating a 50th birthday.
Okay.
And at that point in time, I got on the plane wanting to have some, just downtime to just think and percolate. And I started realizing that there was this accumulation of things. My job felt really stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't any opportunities for advancement. I had just finished my master's degree in material science engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
I had no social life. If I wasn't at work, I was downtown at IIT getting classes.
Sure.
The 2.5-year relationship that I was in was kind of at that fork in the road of, are we moving forward, are we not?
Yeah.
My fitness, my health was suffering because I just wasn't paying attention to myself.
Yeah.
And so I realized that I was in this kind of, stagnant place and wasn't really sure what to do about it. So I arrive Los Angeles, I get off the plane, and I see this advertisement in the terminal wall.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what they were selling, but the headline caught my attention. And it said, "Do what you want, not what you can."
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, all of a sudden, the light bulb went on. That every time I had reinvented myself previously in my career or even life choices, it was because I was pursuing what I really wanted to do, not just what I could do based on my experiences, credentials, or what somebody told me I'd be really great at.
Sure.
And so that's become kind of the mantra of my world, and what I try to bring to clients is to help them do more of what they want, not just what they can.
Right. And that's a great example of a story, because if you notice, she talked about like her education and some of her expertise without just saying, "Hey, I went to this school." It was woven into the story, so it actually sells a lot better because people kind of can absorb that at their own pace, so to speak.
Exactly. And when you can do it subtly like that, where you're building credibility, but you're also kind of exposing yourself to be a bit vulnerable, that, hey, everything wasn't perfect. I didn't have it all figured out.
Right.
I was lost. I was frustrated. Then again, it's creating that relationship with people that can say, "Oh my gosh, she's just like me." Maybe she can get me those same results.
Right. And a lot of people that focus, like you said, on sort of their skills and not their interests. And what I found, and I do some career coaching among other things, is that a lot of times you can really combine those things. People just don't think about how.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good lesson. So what else should we know about speaking successfully?
Well, it really does come down to that structure, and understanding the audience and the purpose and premise of why you're there. There will be times where you may be asked to speak for a fee, like a keynote. So in that case, the structure might be a little different, because you're not going there to sell.
Right.
You might be given an opportunity to speak at an event where you can have some back of the room sales, a product or a book or a service that you can sell. So then there's a special technique and kind of structure to be able to still give value without giving away the store, and then transition to the offer so that you create this kind of rush to go back to the room because they just have to have it.
Sure.
And then what's fantastic is you can use that same structure. And for an example, when you can't sell, there's a lot of places that want to have speakers come in and speak for free, and they'll say, "Yeah, but you can't sell anything."
Right.
Well, then you just kind of take a different approach and say, "Well, can I offer a gift to your audience. And so then you switch this, you keep similar structure, but instead of selling something, you're offering something for free in exchange for their contact information so you can follow up with them later.
Yeah, right.
So usually, I mean, I've never come across an organization that has said to me, oh no, you can't give away a free gift.
Yes.
So, you know, chambers of commerces, you know, all sorts of different groups, you know, small networking associations, you know, very specific women's alliances that I've spoken to. They're all like, yeah, we're a no selling group, but oh yeah, so I give freely then.
Super.
And then follow up. That's
So
the key.
is helping people using speaking in their business, is that something you work with people on or can, or?
Absolutely. It's something that I love doing. In fact, I've come up with a boot camp, I call it, the Speak More, Sell More virtual boot camp that I'm launching pilot program here at the end of July to really kind of help people structure not only the way they communicate their value, so kind of creating that offer that you're going to make, but also to look at your process. You know, what are you doing with clients? What are you doing with your customers? And is there a unique process or exclusive system that you go through that you're not even seeing?
Right.
So when we can work on those things, then we put this into a structure that gives you a talk that converts into sales.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have some talent but don't know how to talk about it.
Absolutely.
So, last question for you. So, your business is Fast Women in Business. Does that mean you work exclusively or primarily with women, or do you help everybody, or what's?
I help everyone.
Okay.
Everyone who is motivated and driven for results.
Okay.
That to me is the key. If you've made that decision that you have to move forward and you just need some direction and guidance, then we need to talk. So the Fast Women in Business is kind of a tongue in cheek, right?
Yeah, right.
Kind of a flashback to my racing days.
Yes.
But I also look at the FAST as an acronym of the traits I try to develop with my clients, and that is to be fearless, ambitious, strong, and trailblazing.
Beautiful. So if somebody wanted help with their business or help with their speaking or to learn something about their car and how it works, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Fantastic. Well, you can get more information at my website, and that's www.NadineHaupt, NADINEHAUP, P as in Paul, T as in Tom, .com. And there you'll find an opportunity to apply for a discovery session so we can have a complimentary discussion over the phone to see how I can best serve you and the needs that you have for you and your business.
Super. So Nadine, thank you very much for coming on our show. I think you had a lot of good points to make. And if you need me for any business issues you face, or if you want to learn something about how to use improv in business, give me a call at 630-272-3895. Thank you, and until next time.